Yeah, you thought you were getting away with it, didn't you? So I moved the whole operation and I'm having to slum it back here. I never thought I'd have to return to this old dusty old place again, but yep, here I am. You're not going to believe this. You were right. The PC did crash, but I think the processor is just not up for the job. Slobs has just come repeatedly crashed on me. So we're going to start this thing again, and then I'll wipe the old edits off. Please, if you're about, come and join me. 5 by 5 from T. Welcome, T. Thank you very much. Sorry about this constant interruption, but what are we going to do? I think I've managed to do quite well on the hook. Don't panic, Captain Benring. Don't panic. A couple of hard restarts. No joy. You know the thing. Turn it on, turn it off again. Still no joy. And John Sheridan, I heard that the death loop before you went offline. Appreciate that. How am I coming through a 5 by 5? John Sheridan is saying I'm not getting no sound. John, T's already given me a 5 by 5. So if you've come here to troll, I please, I beseech you, I importune you, please don't do it.
Because you will invoke the dark side, and when the dark side is invoked, you do want to see this side of the GT. Am I right, baby?
Oh yeah, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that, ladies and gentlemen. 5 for 50, your tomatoes, 5 for 50.
I hope they are all coming through, or I'm just making noise, random noises. Yeah, you always do that, GT. Okay, I did say I had 4 articles. 5 by 5 on Twitch, 5 by 5 from Jenny, 5 by 5 Catherine, or John. Turn the volume up. Everybody else is getting it. Deal with it. Otherwise, you're out. Cabooshed. We don't do the trolls. You know how the ban hammer likes to get dropped. Okay, I'm going to have to do the share screen on the fly. He's a fly guy. Okay, you sit over there nicely. What do you think? The old place not doing too bad, is it? The cleaners have done a fantastic job, and they've kept us. Oh, I have it all here. Oh, it's all coming together rather carefully. Okay, so we'll make this sing at GT. Yeah, look, before you get too carried away, just because the system crashed, and I have to show you how I'm slumming it these days. How I'm slumming it. Yeah, no, YouTube's hanging around. Back it in. Back it in. Okay. Where can I begin? I hope your house is full of laughter and merriment wherever you are. And if you're in the company of family and your loved and dear ones, give them all a special hug and a kiss. Lick the side of the face if you would. Because you need them germs. Thank you, Stargirl. Just waiting for everybody to come back in. We've had it. Click off and back, and the audio should be good. Absolutely, Pat. Any more missing? Sorry about that, folks. It's great to see you all come on back in here. Like I said, 2 articles: the good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll pick up where we left off, and then we'll have a relaxed tone. And as I say, we'll bid adieu to YouTube. So for you YouTubers, and I'll be joining you in the live chat directly afterwards. Have a fantastic Christmas. I love each and every one of you. I keep you all in my prayers. Have a blessed and wonderful Christmas time. And if you are alone, you are not alone. You are here right now. And if you know anybody alone, reach out to them and say hello. And if you know somebody of an age that is alone, reach out to them and say hello, or catch their eye on the street and just give them a wave. Everybody loves that. Everybody loves the eye contact. Everybody loves the friendliness, and a fully functioning homogenous society would have the high trust that we used to have. But we'll get that back one day, because everybody is Irish and everybody understands what it means to be Irish, and that will come back when the great lie, the big lie that is globalism, internationalism, and all its players. We may not see it in our lifetime, but I believe the fire is lit, the seeds are planted, and whatever happens and whatever transpires in the coming years and decades, we'll have played our part, and we are playing our part. You are playing your part by being here, joining me, and I want to thank each and every one of you for lending and showing your support, not only over on the Grand Torino website, World Wide Web, grandtorino.ie, also on the Teespring link merch downstairs. Really great support over there as well. Also Patreon. Sorry to my Patreon subscribers over there. Haven't been really playing ball with you there, but I will set up the streams to broadcast there exclusively in the future, once we iron out all these creases. And get to the articles, GT. Blessed and a happy Christmas to you as well, Maureen. Great to see you. We've had some fantastic year, you and I, girl, eh? And a few, and Jenny and Star Girl. Great to see you all long-time supporters. Like I said, really appreciate your support. If you want to help with the upgrading of the processor, this thing needs more RAM and processing. It was working on a farm, shall we say, before that. And you know the type of farm I'm talking about. Coffee in hand. Don't forget, you'll also get your exclusive Grandstream handsome mugs over there. There's a range of designs. I too can do this as well, Dave Cullen. Abacus Finite also. Yeah, I revealed it. There it is. What are you going to do? Sue me. Sue me. What are you going to do? Right, let's get to the articles. Chrome tab. I'm going to go for the Borkian first. I've enjoyed reading the articles from the Borkian Journal, particularly Kieran. I have one of Kieran Brennan's lined up here. Like, I'm just going to click them up as well. But go over and spread the love over at the website. One of the few guys that are out there, guys and girls that are out there doing it. You'll remember they speak avidly about the hate speech laws, which we're going to touch in with Kieran. But he's written many great pieces throughout the year and called it straight out. And I've got some flack, you remember, even previous editors coming out and rounding out on them as well, calling for censorship. It just shows you the spiral that journalism has taken over here in the Republic of Ireland. We have had some of the most vaunted prestige publishing houses throughout the ages, but they've been taken over by globalism, and they're now billionaires, blogs, and those that work for them are all towing the party line or trying to steer a narrative, I would say, O'Toole box. But for all their, how shall we say, highfalutenness, some of the most stupid people cannot see what is actually happening in front of their eyes and are trying to reason and lie their way out of it. But I think the ordinary Joe, the working man, the Irish and all of us, and Irish comes in all shapes and sizes, colours, codes and creeds. At this time and hour, this is how it is. Melissa, great to see you. As we are on StreamYards, we will take calls, like I say, after the 20 minutes when we let YouTube go, and then we'll let our hair down. We'll bring some of you beautiful, wonderful people in, and we'll have a chat. So let me get into the straight of this. Hate speech laws in Ireland. How screwed are we? From Kieran Brennan. Answer: fairly, but hold off from purchasing those one-way tickets to Budapest just yet. Cefaci Romania. We just jack that up a bit more. All of this is dependent on the state's actual ability to prosecute relicants en masse, with the actual legislation unlikely to come until late 2021 at the earliest. Last week marked the card and the end of the rubber stamp process in moves towards hate speech in the Republic, with the publishing of a 14-month-long consultation process within their own circles, from the Department of Justice with relevant partners. In sum, it was one-sided as expected and granted the state a sufficient charter to legitimise any further legislation heading into 2021, with Minister McEntee promising a bill to be presented to the Cabinet by April at the latest. While there are multiple legislative avenues to put hate speech on the law books, from the loosely phrased terminology on revenge porn to separate hate crime legislation currently meandering its way through the Oireachtas, every indication suggests the state will seek a specific bill on revamping already existing incitement laws. On paper, Ireland does have laws prohibiting hateful or racist speech, but these are not tailored to the political policing desired by the ruling ideologues. The entire preordained palaver played out as expected, but the key points to draw from the consultation were as follows. Note, hate speech laws are coming through the updating of the 1989 Prohibition of Incitement to Hatred Act to produce something far more gnarly and easier to convict perpetrators. The definition of hate speech is being given as, quote, incitement, close quote, promoting or encouraging harm or unlawful discrimination against a person or group due to their real or perceived association with a protected characteristic. Blah, 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 blah. And direct verbal attacks intended to cause serious distress or alarm due to a person's association with a protected characteristic in the mind of the perpetrator. let me just jump in here. Did you feel the shock and awe of all of that? Like, and as Dan, I pointed towards Dan and Dan's mixtape as well, who steered me back onto this and brings this to bear to mind. And Kieran will put his own slant on it there towards the end of it. The sheer shock as I read that out, the perceived, it's so vague. This from a judiciary, this from the legislative branch, this from the supposed school of excellence of thought, can now find itself describing what hate speech actually is and is trying to legislate it on the perception of someone's feelings. How fucking vague and nonsensical is that unless there's something behind it? This is the first step on the encroachment, not only to reducing any criticism of the government. This has been led out by the folly of minority rights, LGBT rights, but this is the door opening, and then it's the slow march. Once this door is opened, pretty much as we expected with the gay marriage, as we've seen with abortion rights and all this kind of stuff, once that door was opened, we've seen how the fetus was treated. What makes you think anyone espousing anything other than the political party line is not going to be treated as the fetus was? They have no regard for the unborn. They have no regard for the elderly. What makes you think that a political dissident is nothing but an ant to them? The Department of Justice conducted various feasibility studies comparing hate speech regimes across Europe and is conscious not to repeat mistakes of the infamously puritanical UK hate speech laws. In the UK, as many of you are aware, they kick your doors down. In Germany, they arrest you for posts and tweets and jail them. And that has gone further and further. I don't know if anybody's seen what the nonsense that's going on in Belgium with a family getting tore out of the house because a 13-year-old invited some friends and broke the curfew of the lockdown process over there. They were beaten and battered to a pulp, mother, father, daughter, and excessive children. Also, we've seen in other regions, I believe it was the Netherlands, two female police officers, and I am going to have a swipe here because it was blatant for all to see. I think it was in Finland or Sweden. But the two female police officers tried to detain an underground party with 40 men downstairs in a basement, new to the parish, and tried to hold the door up, tried to refrain, tried to desist, and they barreled past. They were in danger. Nonsensical. This kind of mindset from people who imagine and don't have any regard for the reality of physical differences between men and women. They think the badge would have protected them. They were in that nonsense, didn't wait for backup, didn't follow procedure, put themselves in danger because they equated themselves on par. But the people that came out of the basement have no regard for you or the badge. They don't even understand the badge or what even that is. They just see weakness and tore straight through them. Anyway, I don't know why I slid off like that, but that was just what's circulating on social media. Back to this nonsense. The Department of Justice conducted various feasibility officers, actually the hate speech laws. Private companies will have limited culpability provided they create an environment that minimizes hate speech. Again, who defines hate speech? What is hate speech? Facebook Ireland was apparently lobbying for an exception, knowing the Pandora's box this may open. The broadening of protected groups to include Irish travellers following their recognition as an ethnic group, as well as transgender individuals. Conflating, I would say, two completely different paradigms, but trying to bring them in together as protected classes. I can tell you this now from experience and from reality. Travellers do not need protection. Travellers need revering as an ancient culture and history. I bring it back to my interview with John Connors earlier on, full of information and stuff like that. I believe mollycoddling and placing them as a specific ethnic society because they are Irish. They are the original Irish. They're part of the original Irish. They just chose to keep moving around while the rest of us chose to sit indoors. Giving them that sort of intersectional separation from the rest of us did exactly what it was intended to do. It separated and created a them and us class. And then the left seems to swing in and loves to have protected the persecuted minority. There's nothing persecuted about travellers. They're very strong and ancient and proud people. But the government and the actions, and it comes as nefarious because then you get heaped upon the welfare state. But now that intersectionality has fractured and we're now including minority groups. And as the Irish are now deemed to be criminalized for perceived racism in all its form. We've been primed and we've been tooled up by the mainstream media for the last 2 years of random incidences of outrageous racial discrimination and racial attacks, clear as the feckin' dog on the street would tell you. 1 or 2 incidents that came from alcohol, 1 or 2 incidents that I think were probably stage managed as well. But we'll never get to the bottom of it because we don't have any journalists apart from these 2 fine gentlemen. I conclude. Social media comment sections are likely to be included within the purview of hate speech laws, with the potential to even criminalise those the department deems as spreading disinformation. I'll leave that one there. So there will be safeguards for academic, artistic and political speech, though there is no elucidation on how this will manifest itself exactly. Remember, Fine Gael and Fianna Fáil have said that this will be used proportionately with all full transparency and would not be used nefariously. And you trust these gougers who have fucked us around for the last 60, 70 years as 2 parties fight over the same cheeks of the same hole? I'm not going to go into the rest of it. And we're going to trust them with this. Not only are they trying to, what shall I say, not placate, but dumb down the population with this new Vaseline that's going to come in, and it's going to cause untold harm and untold sickness in a great swamp of all the people in this country. So I appeal again to everybody watching this broadcast in Ireland, from the tall and the short, from the long and the thin. You're all invited to get involved in what's happening here and to push back through numbers. You think I'm being farcical and fantastical? I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, we are at war. Simply sharing material regarded as hateful or that could be deemed to incite violence could fall under the crosshairs of any bill, according to some recommendations. Following this consultation, the department will now proceed to draft a general scheme on prospective legislation, which they will then craft into a formal bill in conjunction with the Office of the Parliamentary Council. Once completed, it will be introduced to the Oireachtas likely by early spring and could be signed into law by the end of 2021, assuming all goes well. Beyond a few parliamentary notables, there is no formal Oireachtas opposition to the measure from any mainstream parties. Your mission after the holidays, ladies and gentlemen, we'll say this with tone, is to fucking bombard their offices. Every independent, from the McGraths all the way through, need their inboxes filled up, their phone numbers, their personal phone numbers rang. You better speak up and start voicing out against these. You remember the independent TD that spoke out in defence of the greyhound racing. That will come under attack and that will be slaughtered, all these cultures. People like that need to speak out against this government and need to hold some opposition to this. Once you open this Pandora's box, not only will it come for us, it will come for everybody. The consultation process, which this publication played a small but ultimately futile role in, was an interesting affair with over 3,500 participants in the online survey, which was invariably weighed down by influence of liberal civil society groups, as we predicted and as Kieran surmises quite correctly. Beyond the survey, writers of this web zine were afforded a tete-a-tete with the department officials to question aspects of the legislation and its impact on free discourse. I'd have loved an invitation. I might have given you my opinion. It was the most blatant to us that some degree of hate speech legislation is inevitable under the current order. It's just a case of how unhinged it is and the extent to which the Gardaí are frankly bothered to pursue it. Likely only targeted high-profile offenders or token numbers, to make an example. Oh, I do love your son in Spain. Evita la España. No, I'm not going to move there. My apologies. Should have been reading this out here for more effect. I know I'm reading out there, news are chatting away. A taster of how farcical these laws will be is illustrated in the media-inflated case of Ian Wright last month. The case involved a Kerry teenager was charged under the Non-Fateful Offences Against the Person Act for racially abusing the millionaire British football player on Instagram after a late-night party playing FIFA. With a fresh set of laws granting our anti-hate speech Stasi sharpener fangs, expect even more absurd cases than teenagers being hauled in front of the district courts for inane but nasty Instagram messages. In relation to the corporate side of things, the department is very methodical to apply subtle pressure on tech platforms to marginalise dissident speech without formally crossing swords with them legally. platforms like Facebook and Twitter, while technically liable for hateful content, have plausible deniability under Article 230 in the United States. Should they institute even more suffocating regulations on hate speech internally? Succinctly, the prospective legislation will act as a potential stick by which to beat tech platforms should they fall out of line on speech regulation, and only incentivize much more nauseous regulation. The general thrust of the legislation is best surmised by the Minister herself, pertaining to combating anonymous racist social media accounts. Quote, "This legislation will deal with situations where perpetrators seek to incite other people to hatred from behind the protection of a screen or an anonymous account. This is an important factor in order for the legislation to be as effectively as possible in tackling all forms of hate speech." While unstated in the document, it is the common practice for the departments, courts, or Gardaí in general to procure IP addresses as required for non-criminal matters, perhaps hinting at readers who have made it this far in the article to attain a functioning VPN this festive period. I would conclude, whatever you think would give you that sort of protection, but be under no illusion, nothing is hidden. No matter how encrypted you think it can be, everything is open to exposure. So conduct yourself accordingly, and always be aware of that. Language is key. Playing a key role in the process, left-wing hate speech organisations broadly welcomed the report, like chomping at the bit to receive some of the state largesse when hate speech is fully rolled out. In any scenario where hate speech is implemented, expect a lot of the monitoring duties to be outsourced to a handful of NGOs to do most of the legwork for the department and Gardaí. In future, instead of complaining on Twitter about racists, the left will only have to point the finger for Gardaí and corporations to do their dirty work for them, the looming dispensation. The general assessment of this writer is that updated hate speech laws are in essence unavoidable within the next 2 years, barring national disruption or should a snap election occur creating political carnage. Bring it on. Bring it on, people. That's what we are going to do. Political carnage. Minecraft. Oh, the hate speech laws aren't in just yet, but if they're to be retroactive, it's all in Minecraft. Anyone who understands the history of this state understands political suppression is written into its very DNA with its recent collaboration with Facebook to help secure a pro-abortion vote in the 2018. Targeted censorship is the shape of things to come. The royal road to power in this country is normally through jail cells or wearing the proverbial felon's cap. With this era, no different to others. Liberalism, the world over, increasingly relies more on the stick than the carrot to maintain social and political control, with hate speech laws likely to be abused akin to the onerous Irish defamation laws, which already tighten public discourse to an extent most fail to realise. It is unlikely that we will witness UK-style hate speech laws or daily police raids for the simple fact we do not have the Gardaí manpower to enact such measures, as well as the fact more tactful voices in our political regime understand it would backfire. Yes, many will hear a knock on the door from Gardaí, but our political system is entirely undermanned to deal with replicating the UK system, even if Drew Harris is going to the lengths to bring in force within the line with the diversity mania seen in Britain. If anything, the latest wave of anti-Shinner hysteria originating from the Fine Gael-aligned press indicates hate speech laws could just as easily be turned on parts of the left, likely using their support of boycotts for Israel. Regarded as an anti-Semitic act in many jurisdictions as a casus belli, I believe that's pronounced, one could even see the more cynical elements of the Southern Unionism and Fine Gael trying to pigeonhole support for physical force republicanism, historical or otherwise, as being racist or sectarian in and of itself. Can you see where we're heading? Overall, this rigmarole of a consultation process was merely to grant the entire undertaking the airs and graces of being fair and democratic. Touche, absolutely, Karen. While letting a select group of NGOs rule the roost per the routine rule book we've seen play out for the many years on such left liberal pet issues. While the economy scaffolding falls around us with Brexit and the pandemic fiasco, the state is fast-tracking these laws for one thing and one thing only: regime stability. And for the causing that reaction, at least, political dissidents deserve a smile on their lips this Christmas. Make merry this Christmas, but apprehended it could be the last before the state gets serious about penalising thought criminals. You guys keep it sweet there. I want to jump in straight away to our joint first place. Kieran and I really enjoyed reading his articles throughout the course of all last year. And if there was a prize to be given, I'm sure you're going to have to split it, but you're going to have to split it with this man here, Michael Sullivan from the freepress.ie. And I hope you can see that over there. Let me I'll have to bring up the news just because it's StreamYard. It's very cumbersome. I'll have to pick it out again. And we'll jump in. And this is the way this is a shared first place for Michael J. Sullivan from the 22nd of December 2020. The Irish Republic has fallen. Time for a military coup. How double dog dare you, Michael? You practically read my mind. And I do it with a smile on my face. You write it out. Are we ready? Shall we begin? This article advocates for a professional military solution to Ireland's tyranny via arrests of corrupt politicians and NEFIT. It does not encourage violence and therefore remains unedited. Ireland has been plunged yet again into draconian lockdowns this Christmas by the Irish government based on fraudulent case numbers from PCR tests that have a 7% reliability rating. The latest made-up threat is a mutation of COVID-19 that the British government is currently using to gaslight their own people in London. Tens of thousands of people scrambled to exit London late last night and escape the megalomania of the occultist Boris Johnson and the destroyer Sadiq Khan. The second wave mutation story is, of course, a complete fabrication. This is all scripted. Across Europe, everything has been scripted since January. The Irish government is now waging highly intensity kinetic warfare on Ireland's middle and lower classes because of the fabricated viral threat being used globally to destroy Western civilization. The Irish government with 100% certainty that there is no viral threat. I remind you, they're very good and wonderful investigative journalist Gemma O'Doherty, along with John Waters, have recently gained a Freedom of Information Act that they have actually got no proof of the virus. They could not produce the empirical evidence of the virus. But you won't hear that on any mainstream media. You won't hear that publicated. So big shout out to Gemma and co for exposing that. And it's upon you now over the Christmas period to make sure that gets pushed out. The HSC itself has confirmed they have got no Koch's postulate, as we've said. There is no definitive definition of the virus, but they will smother that. So do your digging, Anons, do your digging. For those of you that are capable, and spread the message. It's up to us. Let us continue. The Irish government know with 100% certainty that there is no viral threat. And big shout out to D Wall as well. D Wall has the biggest set of balls than most men out there as well. Before I forget, keep going, girl. You do you. They have all gone along with this hoax, picking up their paychecks and planning on profiting from it politically in the devastating aftermath to come. The Irish government's goal is to destroy small businesses and increase vaccine uptake. They are owned by the pharmaceutical industry. Our politicians like Micheál Martin and Humphrey Donnelly are being bribed and are blackmailed with compromising pictures to wage psychological war on their own people. Free press, the Irish Republic has fallen. It's time for a military coup. I know one or two blighters that might take you up in that, Michael, in Minecraft. Ireland's disgusting pig Prime Minister says, quote, there is light at the end of the tunnel in the form of vaccines on the way. It is with a heavy death sentence. I'm sorry, it was a heavy heart. We all know we don't fucking need risky, untested vaccines for the made-up China virus threat. This scumbag Martin is selling out Irish children's futures to keep the pharmaceutical industry in business. He sacrificed one of his own in the past around the time he sold his soul to the devil. No one wants your drugs, Martin, you evil bastard. It's time to call a spade a spade. You're a creep who no one respects, another snake of a man who will do anything for power. You're the scum of the earth. You're the lying about the viral threat, and we all know about it. No one is in hospitals. No one has been in hospitals, while our doctors and nurses, clowns, were dancing away all year. No one has been dying of COVID compared to all other causes of mortality all year. Far more are dying of suicide, you piece of human filth, as is your intention, most sacrifices to the gods of your fetid underworld. Hotels and bars who have been holding on for dear life through the unscientific lockdowns are now being forced to close. 150,000 people will lose their jobs on Christmas Eve when the closures are scheduled. Seemingly, the virus gets really angry right about the time Santa Claus takes off, just that it only affects people standing up in a restaurant, leaving those sitting down to enjoy their meal. This is the nonsense that the scum in the Irish government have told us all year. This is the nonsense that the scum of the opposition political parties have advocated. Small and medium businesses are the lifeblood of the Republic and the bedrock of our economy. They are destroying these deliberately at the behest of their commune fascist, occultist handlers. Their Christmas attacks is symbolic for its impact on Ireland's Christian civilization. This is coming neo-feudalism writ large across romantic Ireland, and soon it will surely be dead and gone. And still the Irish middle classes don't get it. Soft, native, virtual signals like Irish pub group CEO Donald O'Keefe mince words and say things like, they need to take into account the ongoing uncertainty this is causing, the enormous stress this is putting people's working in the industry under, the damage these repeated closures is doing to these businesses. After Martin and the Irish government have spent a year now deliberately destroying their industry. Similar statements have been made by various representative bodies in Ireland, trying to be nice and playing it softly, softly. These cooked fucking clowns still don't get it. Their goal is to destroy your business, Donald. Wake the fuck up. Put your big boy pants on. This nonsense is deliberate. They had never intended on letting us out of this mindfuck of a merry-go-round, his words. They will never stop the madness, and they are indoctrinating your kids into accepting total control with psychologically destructive face masks that will make them lifelong addicts to the pharmaceutical drug dealers that own our politicians. They need to take into account the ongoing uncertainty this is causing, the enormous stress this is putting people working in the industry under, and the damage these repeated closures is doing to these businesses. Sweet Jesus, will you snap out of it, man? The girl, Micheál Martin, knows exactly what he's doing, as does the cervical check murderer, Tony Holohan. Republic comes into the Latin Republica, or the people's thing. This government has murdered its own citizens in nursing homes by deliberately depriving them of care, has destroyed our wealth and quality of life, has stolen our health service, and now indebted the nation for a century thanks to cataclysmic and unjustified economic lockdowns. This is no longer a republic, it's a commune fascist sewer. The Irish politicians perpetrating this crime against Irish humanity are corrupt. Too many middle-class business leaders are still living in the paradigm that somehow Irish politicians are still telling the truth, still clinging to the notion that this isn't all some massive power grab, still ignoring the fact that the Irish government is clearly trying to destroy the economy and jobs and the middle class in Ireland, just as Stalin did. Stalin wiped out the middle classes. Now look around you. Freedom of movement is curtailed, freedom of speech is curtailed, visiting families is curtailed, and the middle class, small and medium businesses, along with working class jobs, are being deliberately wiped out for a virus that their own fucking statistics show is zero threat to the public health. What more will it take for the Irish polite society to wake the bloody hell up? We must judge people by their behaviour. The facts are stark. A soft coup has taken place in Ireland, and our republic has been taken from us. It has been driven by communist Chinese paymasters, and funds have been administered by a Freemasonic network throughout the upper echelons of our banana republic. Micheál Martin, Leo Varadkar, Stephen Donnelly, Neffet, and the cabal that surrounds them are traitors. Our military are all that stands in the way of these corrupt monsters. Our police force have been taken over in the soft coup by a Masonic crown operative in a mini. I'll leave that there. A mini coup needs to happen in Garda HQ. I need to buy myself some time, essentially. That's what I'm saying to you. Garda HQ to lock him up, and the military need to take the boy lover out of the arras and lock him up too. Oh, touche, Michael. The time has come for Irish men and Irish women to stand up for what is right. Enough is enough. Stop being divided by the media, working on your ingrained prejudice, your working class, middle class. It doesn't matter. They intend on destroying our economy, paying us a universal basic income, taking our freedoms and having total control. Don't think that what's going on over the M50 is just about monitoring and telling you the speed traffic. There will be fines. They will be monitoring that traffic all the time. These compromised demons don't care about our health. You know this. Look at the elderly on hospital trolleys for decades every winter, rotting because they wouldn't provide enough beds for them. The scum in power in Ireland have crossed the Rubicon. Their intention to destroy this republic are clear and out of the shadows. Our last line of defence must act our sovereign freedoms before our sovereign freedoms are taken away. And basically, the lady's talking about the PCR testing. My apologies for the breakdown there. The PCR testing is the Achilles heel in all of this because the PCR is not a diagnostic tool, and that will be broken through the zeitgeist of people. There is an effective way to challenge this because the PCR test is not being used as is designed for, as we understand. The 45 cyclical cycle is a nonsense, and anything past 21%, as the creator, the creator of the PCR test, who said before he died mysteriously in 2019 that it was never to be used as a PCR as a diagnostic tool. You could catch anything with the PCR test. It's a nonsense. So that is where we must fight it. But also, you must give support to the new Irish NGO that Tracy O'Mahony is selling up as well. I think I've mentioned that before as well. But those two contrasting articles is why Kieran Brennan and Michael Sullivan pseudonym have proven beyond reason to be on the money time and time again. I could be petty about the gript and I could be petty about the Liberal, but I'm not going to be, considering what we just spoken there at the back of Michael's article. Okay, that I think is going to be ample enough for yourselves. YouTube, you are out of here. YouTube, please, before we let you go, don't forget to smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, also the subscription button and the bell, and you'll be reminded of future broadcasts on the Grand Torino. Please, if you could, please brighten my Northern Star. The rest of you, Twitch, Facebook, DLive, don't go anywhere. This is just for YouTube. Please, if you could, please brighten my Northern Star. God, I've forgotten how to use this blooming thing. Please, if you could, please brighten my Northern Star by leaving me your thoughts, comments, and witticisms in the comment section down below. We really appreciate if you would do that. Also, smash that like button. It pushes us into the recommended articles, and it still plays around with the AI and the algorithms. Even though our subscription list is going backwards, we are being suppressed. We are on the way out the door. We'll meet again over on Facebook, DLive, and YouTube if you're of a mind. And last but not least, couldn't do it without you. Still can't do it without you. Really appreciate all your support, particularly over the World Wide Web, grandtorino.ie, and links in the merch for the Teespring links merch as well. Really appreciate your support over there. Subscribe there, big heaps and bounds, all the options are there. But we are soldiering on. We've had to compensate for the demonetization, but we are not demoralized, which is how we say. Okay, YouTube, that will be you. Talk to you soon. Take care of yourselves, and God bless. Rest of you stay there.